We work so you can play.
Hey everyone, welcome to another Warhammer 40k League Battle Report. As always, my name is Jay, and I will be announcing this matchup. And once again, you will recognize both these players by now, because this is game 11 or 12 in the league. So today we have a match between Ross and
Dan.
And I'm guessing you know what armies they're carrying. Try to guess right now. And the answer is?
Dark Angels.
And Eldar.
And Eldar. Eldar trickery?
Yeah.
Yeah. Trickery. Oh, those Eldar. I know. But at least they're both two 6th edition codices. And from what I comprehend about Warhammer 40k is that all 6th edition codices are equally as well written and balanced. What's the Tau Codex like? No kidding. It's all good. And you guys are playing 1,750 points?
Yep.
And we haven't yet rolled for game type or deployment, so we don't know about that yet, but it's going to be a lot of fun, so stay tuned for the armies and the deployment.
All right, so we'll start off with 1,750 points of Dark Angels. Of course, this is the Ravenwing that Ross really likes to run. So therefore, leading the army is Samuel, attached to a company command squad with a librarian. We call him Psyker on the Biker. Psyker Biker. A champion. And I knocked over his model. And a command squad with an apothecary, a banner, 2 land speeders, a dark shroud. And he gives everything around him stealth, and has himself shrouded and stealth. 3 squads of bikes is normal. Some plasma in each squad. And each squad has 2 meltas and a plasma gun. And 3 attack bikes with melta guns. And a squad of devastators with plasma cannons. And a sergeant, a veteran sergeant. And that's 1,750 points of Dark Angels. And now, 1,750 points of Eldar Trickery. Very regal purple Eldar. And notice a lot of different models in this one. So leading the army is a Farseer. And he's going to be attached to a squad of Fire Dragons. Or he's just there with the Fire Dragons. 2 squads of Rangers. 2 squads of Dire Avengers. No Exarch, no nothing. Just base. A squad of Banshees, people. People don't usually run with Banshees, and it's going to be interesting seeing how they do in this game, because Banshees aren't frequently used in the Eldar competitive lists. And of course, you can't ignore the guy in the back, the Wraith Knight. And we have one Fire Prism and 1 Falcon. Another item that you don't usually see in competitive Eldar lists, Falcons. And 3 Wave Serpents, in which the Guardians will be in. So the Banshees and the Fire Dragons will also be in. And that's 1,750 points of Eldar Trickery. So they roll out to see what type of game. And 3 big guns never tire. And what type of deployment? They roll a 5. So Vanguard Strike, Table Corners. And there is night fighting. They roll to see how many objectives, and there's going to be 5 objectives. And then they roll to see who goes first. Ross rolls higher, and Ross chooses to go first. Alright, so here's what the board looks like after deployment. As you can see, Eldar. No, not that many bodies. It's only vehicles and the Wraith Knight on the table. Turn 1. And on the other side, whole lot of bikes. Bikes by bikes, bikes by bikes, bikes, bikes by bikes. Dark Shroud, bikes by bikes, bikes by bikes, bikes by bikes. And scouting over. So before seizing the initiative, Ross decides that he is going to risk it, and he scouts his bikes way up. That's the thing about Ravenwing, they all have scout, and they are quite deadly if they are allowed to go first, because then they can move up 12 inches during the scout phase, and then move up 12 inches during the movement phase of the next turn, closing the gap and being able to light you up with a lot of shots. Especially near his standard of devastation, which makes all the guns around him salvo, which is pretty fun. And then, as I said, he just continues to move up all of his bikes and all of his squads towards the Eldar to close the gap very quickly and to shoot them up as much as possible before the Eldar can turn around and shoot them back. Remember, for dangerous terrain, there's no dangerous terrain test needed during Scout. So instead, just moves up the rest of them. And then the Eldar player tries to seize the initiative. And he rolls a 3. So no seizing the initiative, and it is Dark Angel's turn 1. So once again, starts by moving up all those bikes. All those bikes are going up very quickly, 12 inches. And as you'll see, the gap is pretty much closed entirely between the Eldar and the Dark Angels. And those ones are going to go and try to destroy the opponent's towers. These are used for tertiary objectives for the league, nothing for the scoring of this particular game. And moves up his command squad and the rest of the bikes. As you can see now, they're right in front of those Eldar, ready to light them up. However, there is knife fighting, and they do have some cloaking stuff, I believe, so it will be pretty hard to pop those vehicles now, but he'll surely try. Now, those guys shoot at the flag or tower of his opponent. Once again, this is for tertiary, not for any of the primary or points. So we'll see if it explodes, but it doesn't, and it's just destroyed. And next he tries to drop some Pie Plates of Doom on the Eldar vehicles. Hits with these Devastators, none of them got hot. All of them land. He needs 5 to glance, 6 to pen, and he rolls 2 pens. He gets a 4-up cover save. So first he rolls and fails both of them, but then he gets to knock him down to a glance, and he doesn't, and he rolls and it explodes. So instantly, that is first blood, and one of the vehicles are gone. They roll. That's full of Banshees, unfortunately. So those Banshees are going to be stranded, and on top of that, he loses almost half the squad alone due to the explosion. And then they roll, and they are pinned. Nothing went right for those Banshees. And then next, he keeps shooting at the Banshees that are in the crater. Gets a bunch of wounds on those little Banshees. And then he rolls his 4-up armor save for being in a crater, and fails 2 more. Then rolls to the Exarch dies. Exarch dies as well. Sorry, there's a 3-up armor save on him. And of course he dies. So the whole squad is killed, and that's second blood. Next, after that luck, Ross tries to kill one of the other vehicles. He got very lucky on the first one, because it's knocked down to a glance on a 2+, but he failed his 2+ to knock it down. And rolls, but no pens there. And then tries to shoot the Wraith Knight. The Wraith Knight's going to be a particularly hard thing for these guys to kill. But one got hot for his plasma and kills him and fails to wound. So he actually loses a plasma and doesn't actually wound the Wraith Knight, which is a pretty weird set of circumstances. And then he turbo boosts a few of his bikes up so that they can close the gap and get in a good shooting range next turn and possibly get an assault next turn. The great thing about Dark Angel's bikers is that they also have hit and run, so they can jump into assault, kill for a couple turns, and then jump away. And now it's Eldar, turn 1. So the squad inside decides to get out. Sorry, there's a psychic power on the squad inside. It goes off. And there's another psychic power, and it also goes off. Moves up his Wraith Knight and just moves around and maneuvers all of his vehicles so that they can get better line of sight and shoot up the bikers that have invaded their territory. And then he disembarks the Guardians over there. Or the Dire Avengers, sorry. And then moves up his other squads. And then the Fire Dragons disembark from the vehicle, and they're going to hopefully just toast up those Space Marine bikers. And then the last squad, Dire Avengers, also pops out. So they start shooting at the bikers. Psychic Shriek first. He perils, so he gets a wound. So he rolls his Psychic Test, and fails by 4 and rolls Feel No Pains and fails 2 more. So 2 are going to die. But first the Fire Dragons get to shoot at the bikers. They do a bunch of wounds. He rolls his cover saves and fails another one. And then he rolls other 4-ups, fails those, and Feel No Pain, fails one of them. So in the end, he loses only a couple bikers due to it. Then he drops a pie plate right on top of the bikers with the command squad, hoping to do some damage. First one hits. Second one scatters 4 inches, but it still ends up hitting a couple. And the third one hits, and they all wound on 3s. He rolls his cover saves and fails them. Feel No Pain, good. Then the Wraith Knight fires, and he fails all 3. So 3 more are dead from the Wraith Knight. Then he drops another pie plate on top of them. As I said, Eldar is just full of pie plate trickery. It hits, wounds most of them, and he fails 2 of his cover saves. So 2 more are dead, and that squad is just getting whittled down slowly but surely. And then finally, he uses combat focus on his Fire Dragons just to move them back and a little bit out of cover, out of assault range. Then fires his shuriken cannons at them. They fail 1 more and 1 wound on the attack bike. And he just repeats this process over and over again, hoping to whittle down the bikes 1 bike at a time. And he feels another cover set, so then 1 more sort of Feel No Pains. He tries to look at Sir off his champion or his librarian, but in the end, the other guy's closer anyway. So now scatter lasers from the energy shield and the energy shield at the same bikers. He ends up getting 7 hits with 7 shots with the scattered lasers. Most of them hit. And now he's 2s, 3s, and 5s to wound. And almost everything wounds. It's a lot of wounds. So he rolls those ones. Fails 2. So they have to roll for a pinning check. But first they have to do the rest of their armor saves. He rolls those and fails them all already. So the whole squad is completely wiped off the board. And they're all dead. So no need to worry about a pinning check. It's now in the command squad again. He does get a few hits. He needs 3s and 5s to wound. And only manages a couple wounds. Rolls his armor saves. Fails 1. It goes on the librarian. No Feel No Pain. And then the last squad of Dire Avengers opens up on those remaining attack bikes. Manages to get 1 rend, but a bunch of wounds. He rolls his cover saves, or armor saves, passes them all, and passes his cover save, so nothing there. And then they run 6 inches back with their combat focus as well. Battle focus, sorry. And then the other guy's battle focus 1 inch. And then they try to assault. He does his leadership checks, and they're all good. His Wraith Knight then tries to jump into combat. He overwatches. So, yep, he eventually overwatches. And doesn't hit with anything. Rerolls, return linking. Nope, 1 got hot. And he actually lost it. He lost a wound, Feel No Pains it, and loses another plasma guy due to Overwatch. That's pretty crazy. Overwatching and actually losing your guys. And gets 1 hit with 1 of the plasma cannons or plasma guns and no wounds. He rolls his distance and gets 9, which is plenty to get that Wraith Knight in with the command squad. He lost his champion due to Overwatch, by the way. See, he gets his Hammer Wrath, gets a hit and wounds, but he makes a save. I don't know why I got Feel No Pain, because it would have been strength 10. But whatever, it's okay. These guys then pile in. So Samuel tries to wound, and it's nothing. And then the Wraith Knight hits back, gets only 2 hits, but 2s to wound. Or sorry, he passed his invul during the Hammer Wrath. That's what happened. He gets 2 wounds, and he fails 1 invul, but passes the other. So the banner is instantly killed by the Wraith Knight. And the apothecary hits with his core of his hammer. And he needs 6s to rend, but gets 1 rend. He rolls his invul and fails. So 1 wound on the Wraith Knight. And he tries to hit and run. He passes the hit and run and rolls 7 inches towards the other table edge. So they jump out of combat from the Wraith Knight and will be good to shoot and return next turn. But luckily the Wraith Knight was able to kill 1 before they jumped away. Actually, 1 died during Overwatch as well. And the Wraith Knight consolidates.
So here's what the board looks like after turn 1. As you can see, Dark Angels hit hard, Eldar hit hard back, and heavy casualties on both sides. The game's going to be pretty close. Dark Angels have first blood, and the 3 objectives, just so we show the objectives, one's right there, one's right here, one's right here, one's there, and 1 is over there. Excellent, so we'll see what happens in the Epitomist turn 2.
So now it's Dark Angels turn 2. So rolls for reserves. First one doesn't come in, second one doesn't come in, so no reserves there. And now the Dark Angels kind of cowardly, as he said, or they cowardly move away and just go to guard that other objective for a bit. So he's just going to back up just a little bit. And now the other squad of bikes turbo boost up, and they're going to hopefully try to kill and engage that Wraith Knight, take him out after he squashed one of their brethren. And the 2 attack bikes move up to go and take on the Guardian, the Dire Avengers. And the final squad moves up to go take out the other Dire Avengers and possibly the Fire Dragons. And Dark Shroud moves up as well, just getting in the action. And he finally moves up his other attack bike. So then he starts shooting with his Devastators. Rolls for these, gets hot. 1 got hot. He rolls to see if he dies, and he does. So he loses another 1 due to overheating. Man, it's crazy how many guys he loses to overheating. It gets hot. And the 1 plasma cannon shoots to see if it hits. And it scatters 1 inch, so it basically hits the tank. It's 5s to land, 6s to pen, but nothing. He can't complain after the first turn, though, but still, he was hoping to get something. Then he just continues his shooting. Hits with everything, and it needs 6s to glance the other vehicle. Oh, sorry, 6s to pen, because of rending. And doesn't get anything. Next attack bikes shoot at the Dire Avengers. The big, each one of them has a heavy bolter and a bolter. And so all the bolter shots hit as well. So there's a lot of wounds on him. And he goes to ground for a 6-up save, but he fails him. So those guys are just kind of dead. And loses a good chunk of the Dire Avengers. And the firing just continues with the other one. The other attack bike shooting at the same guys. Get a bunch of wounds. He rolls his cover saves. And he fails all but 1. So even more of the Dire Avengers die, and there's not that many left at all. And then he turbo boosts the other bikes just to get him out of sight, out of mind. And turbo boosts the other squad into area terrain so that he can keep them safe and possibly keep them away from the Wraith Knight for another turn. And he rolls for dangerous terrain, fails 1, but he's okay. And then the command squad fires at the Fire Warriors. Not the Fire Warriors, Fire Dragons. It's a psychic power. He doesn't deny his psychic power, despite like it was only a 4-up. and then shoots all the heavy plasma cannons. So the plasma cannon from Samuel, and the rest of the guys as well. Needs 2s to kill, no cover, so that will kill 4. And then he has to roll his 4-up armor saves, and he only fails 1. So only a chunk of the fire warriors are dead. And then he starts rolling to see if the rest of his guys die. He does go to ground for a 6-up cover save, I believe. And he passes 2 of his 6+ cover saves, which is nice. And then the other firing happens. And does a few more wounds. He rolls his armor saves and cover saves and loses a few more Dire Avengers. And then the other squad goes. So he rolls his leadership checks. Passes the first one. And then rolls for his Farseer and Dragons. And passes barely. And then rolls the other guys and fails. And they run completely off the board. So another squad of troops is gone. And that really hurt the Eldar player. And then he assaults the Fire Dragons with the other squad. The squad with Samuel. And he challenges the Farseer. He accepts. And they attack simultaneously. So Samuel goes first and has Mastercrafted weapons needing 3s to wound. Or to hit. It's 4 hits. With 2 wounds. He has a 4-up invul. And he fails 1. And rerolls. But fails the other. And instantly is killed by losing those 2 wounds from Samuel. But he gets to attack at the same time. Gets 2 hits. And needs... It's Fleshbane, so 2s to wound. Gets only 1 wound, and Samuel passes his invul. So that's a kill. Warlord killed the other Warlord in close combat. And then the rest of the guys get to go. And as you can predict what's going to happen, Fire Dragons aren't particularly good in close combat. And alone, they're able to just decimate that squad. And another one dies. And they're all dead. And they consolidate 6 inches towards the other one. So now it's Eldar, turn 2. After that round of heavy losses, Ross sees if his reserves will come in. One of his squads come in. And one of his squads of Rangers comes in. And he just puts them over there in the corner to keep them safe. Maneuvers around his vehicles once again to get good shots off and stay a little bit out of close combat with those guys, seeing how much decimation the Dark Angels were able to do to them last turn. And decides to fly the other vehicle over them, just behind them. It moves around the Wraith Knight to just stay away from them. And to go assault the command squad. He jumps him way far because he can jump 12 inches, right? And goes for the command squad. He can hopefully squish them. They use the tank ram to ram and glance the Dark Shroud. And then start shooting at it with the vehicle. He shoots the Dark Shroud from point blank range. Hits with pretty much everything. Gets a bunch of pens. He has a 3-up cover. He's okay. And then the next one's rolls 3-up cover. And they're good too. So nothing happens to your shooting. He tries to shoot the other guys. They snapfire, nothing happens. And then fires the other squad. Needs 3 to hit, so he hits with... And then D6 plus 1 for the shield. And doing with a few of them. And then once again, 3s to wound. He rolls his armor saves, and they are good. And then the 2 other ones also pass. And then finally, the Rangers move up through cover because they have fleet. And they battle focus so they can fire their pistols. And they 2 Rens and an armor save. He fails 1 of his Rens and fails 1 of the other ones. So the attack bike is dead due to Ranger fire. And then drops a pipe plate right on top of Samuel and his squad. First one scatters a little bit. Third one hits. And a bunch of wounds. He rolls his 4-up. Covers, fails a couple, feel no pain, fails another one, and then the rest of his armor saves, passes them all. And then he tries to get it off the apothecary, and it goes off, so that way only one of the normal guys is killed. And drops his other pipe plate right on top of the Devastators, kills 2, and then fires the Serpent Shield at them. And he fails 1, but he has a 5-up feel no pain once again on the command squad. And he's okay. Another feel no pain saved. And then on the apothecary, he passes as well. Then they declare Overwatch, 2 hits, 1 wound on the Wraith Knight. He has a 5-up. He has a 4-up invul on the Wraith Lord due to being in close proximity due to a psychic power from the Librarian, I believe. So a 4-up invul on the Wraith Knight on Overwatch fire. And he rolls, and he's okay. So then he gets in, hits Hammer Wrath, gets a wound, and he passes his armor save. And then Samuel goes first with his crack grenade, does nothing. Wraith Knight swings away, gets 2 wounds. He passes both of his invuls, and then hits back. And is able to do 2 wounds. And he fails 2. So the Wraith Knight is actually down 3 wounds now total. And that's pretty crazy in close combat. And then they are able to hit and run out of there, which is pretty crazy. So the Wraith Knight actually lost combat and then took wounds and didn't do anything to them. I did not see that result coming. And his D6 consolidation, 5 inches, which is repositions himself to get a good shot for next turn. Alright, so after 2 turns, here's what the battlefield looks like. Is that only 2 turns?
Yeah, after 2 turns.
Eldar taking heavy casualties. Dark Angels will not fail an armor save. That's it. And Wraith Knight's getting pummeled by these little Space Marines. And I can't believe this is happening. And we'll see what happens in turn. So now it's Dark Angels turn 3. Once again, moves up his attack bikes. 1 gets dangerous terrain, but passes armor save. Then he jumps Samuel around the bike so he can shoot at the rear armor of the vehicle. Dangerous terrain, but he's okay. And moves up the Dark Shroud to shoot behind the Fire Prism. Because he has Fire Prism and a Falcon, both of each are worth a point in this game because they're both heavies. So he shoots. Fails his cover save. And then needs 5 to wound. And then he shoots the Dark Shroud shoots at the rear of the Fire Prism. It's a few hits. Needs 4s and 5s. He gets 1 pen. 4-up cover save, and he made it. And then he fires again at the other the other heavy vehicle. Gets 1 pen. He has a 4-up cover again. And fails it. So they roll, and it's a 4. So it explodes 2 inches. And that isn't a kill point because it is a heavy. And then he tries to shoot the other flag / tower. And he gets a bunch of hits. Need 3s and 4s to wound. So it's 5s and 6s to, sorry, Ben's Clan. And 1 hull point left of the tower. And then he fires the Rangers. None of them get hot with the Devastators. First one. Scatters. Off the table. And this is the Signum one. Hits. So instead of hitting 3 or 4. 3, I think. 2s to wound. And rolls 2 1s. So only 1 wound. And he passes his cover save. So nothing there. And then they try to assault the vehicle. And hit with a bunch of things. Need 5s and 6s to pen. Get 1 glance, 1 pen. A pen of 5, which becomes a 6. So it will explode and doesn't hurt anybody around him. And then he assaults the tower. And he's also able to destroy. And now it's Eldar, turn 3. So he rolls for reserve again. Doesn't come in. Moves up his Wave Serpent. And they let out their guys, I believe. And moves up his other dudes to go take out those attack bikes. And moves up his last Wave Serpent. Since all of his other heavy guys are stopped right now. So this other Wave Serpent goes there. And then he jumps his Wraith Knight towards the bikers. Shoots his Star Cannons and the other things at the bikers. And he fails. And both that squad is wiped out. And they're both dead. So that's a great thing for the Eldar. Because now they don't have to worry about that other objective being claimed. And he drops a pie plate on top of the other bikers. Each time he shoots, it scatters 2 inches in various directions. So in the end, he gets a few of them. Each time scatters 2 inches, getting 6 wounds. And a good chunk of them, they all die. The whole squad is wiped out due to that one side of having shooting alone. So that's pretty crazy. So he just lost 2 squads of bikes now. As you can see, there's giant holes where the squads used to be. And he fires the attack bike. He gets 1 rend, and he fails his armor save. And he has a 5-up invul, or sorry, 5 cover, and he's good. So the attack bike only has 1 wound left. And then the Wave Serpent fires the rest of his guns. And do manage to get a few wounds. Need 2s and 3s to wound. And so he rolls his 5 armor saves. Or 4 armor saves, sorry. Fails 1, but he does feel no pain. And fails another one. So Samuel takes a wound. And then the other one, he's good. And then clears the assaults. Overwatch. And he's a 4-up armor save. And he's good. And they roll their distance, and they're good, and they're able to get in to attack the attack bike. So they hit on 2 hits, 6s to wound, and get a wound, and he fails his armor save. So the attack bike is killed by Dire Avengers in close combat. I did not see that coming.
Turn 3, here's what the battlefield looks like. It is a bloodbath, and things are on objectives, things are not on objectives. And as you can see, there are things in reserve still. We'll see what happens in turn 4.
And now it's Dark Angel's turn 4. His reserves automatically come on. He deep strikes that one, and it lands exactly where he wants. It was very risky. And moves up the Dark Shroud. He does have, I believe, some rending assault cannon, so maybe it could hurt the Wraith Knight. And then they fire at the Fire Prism. He fails both, and then the Plasma Talon shoot. Both hit. Need 3s, glance, 4s to pen, so 1 glance. And the rest of the fire goes. So he gets 2 pens and 2 glances. So now in green are the pens. So they take 1 glance in the end, and only 1 glance on the Wave Serpent. And they fire at the other Wave Serpent. And manage to get 2 pens and a glance. He has his 4-up cover save. So here's the glance. So 1 pen went through, and 2 pens went through. So he rolls in the pen chart once again, and rolls an explosion. So the Wave Serpent with the guys inside is destroyed. And he rolls to see if it hurts the guys inside. Hurts 3 of them. He rolls his cover saves, and 3 die for the Rangers. It's down to 2 more Rangers outside the vehicle and by themselves, and roll to see if they're pinned, and they're good. And then the Devastators shoot at the Rangers. First one hits, so it hits 2. 2s to wound, and they have a 4-up cover, and 1 more dies. So leadership check, and they are good. And morale check, they're good. Then they shoot at the Dire Avengers that took out the attack bike. And get 3 wounds. He rolls his cover saves and passes all 3. So he's okay. And now it's Eldar, turn 4. So they roll to see what side the outflanking guys come in. They come on, actually, it's really cool. They come on right to go and contest that objective and to kill those Devastators on their side. So hopefully they'll be able to shoot and kill the Devastators and wipe them off the targets, because they are worth a kill point as well. And then, once again, Tank Shock. Doesn't do anything. Wraith Knight jumps around. And it's going to try to go score that other objective, because it is a heavy as well, so it can score objectives and big guns never tire. And then the pistols are from the Rangers are shot at the Devastators. Get 1 rend. He rolls his cover save, and he's okay. And the other shot's okay. So they shoot at the Dark Shroud. And they get 1 hit. But nothing. And they snap fire at the Devastators. And he fails a cover save. So 1 more is dead. And it's a Sergeant. And then he fires at Samuel and his squad. If you can take out Samuel, it'd be worth a kill point, and it'd do some serious damage because those guys are just running around the battlefield killing everything. So the rest of them scatter, and the final one hits directly. So he needs 2s and 3s to wound, gets a bunch of wounds. Librarian first, okay. So second one, Librarian, fails. He gets Feel No Pain. And fails it too, so Librarian is dead. And next, the Apothecary. Apothecary, first one's good. Second one fails. He gets Feel No Pain again, because the Apothecary gets Feel No Pain. And he fails too, so the Apothecary is killed too. And finally, Samuel. Samuel gets a 4-up invul. So he rolls the rest of his saves on Samuel with his 4-up invul. He fails both, so he gets a Feel No Pain on both, because it's the same time as the Apothecary was killed. And fails one. So Samuel is also killed, and that's Slay the Warlord. Eldar get a point. And then the Ranger runs 6 inches into cover. And the other Rangers use their...
Alright, so after 4 turns, there's like 5 models left on the table or something ridiculous, like 8, 10 models max. So heavy casualties on both sides. Each one is near an objective. I don't know who to call this. We'll see what happens in turn 5.
So now it's Dark Angel's turn 5. So the Landspeeder leapfrogs over the Wave Serpent, and the Dark Shroud moves up to go take out those Dire Avengers. Shoots the Wave Serpent from behind, hits with most of shots, and gets 1 pen. He does have Hollow Field, and he fails. So he rolls C on the pen chart, and rolls a 1, so it can only Snapfire next turn, and has 1 hull point left. So the Devastator fires at them, and it scatters and doesn't hit anything. Next they fire at the other group. Gets 2 wounds, but he passes both of his armor saves with the Dire Avengers. And then they fire at the Dire Avengers again. And get a couple wounds. He rolls his 4+ armor saves and fails both. So both Dire Avengers are dead, and it is Eldar turn 5. So once again, moves his Wraith Knight to go score that other objective. One in the middle, and now he's scoring it. And then moves up his Falcon, or so his Wave Serpent, to shoot at the Dark Shroud and fire at it from behind, but doesn't do anything. And then fire at the Devastator. Get 1 rend, and he has a 1 cover save, and he fails it, so the last guy is dead, and that is another kill point for the Eldar. So once again, has to Snapfire, and doesn't do anything. And then they fire at the Dark Shroud, hit it, with all those shots, all the pie plates, which are twin-linked, and hit. So he needs 3s and 4s. Gets several pens. He fails 2 cover saves, and that Landspeeder is just...
what the game looks like.
I think I had a chance after turn 2.
At the end of 5, I know. This game's been insanely up and down. Close, very, very close. Closest game of the league thus far. And right now, he's got an objective here for the Eldar. He's got an objective there for the Eldar. So it's 2 objectives plus 3 points for the Eldar. Meanwhile, Dark Angels have the 3 points for secondaries and 1 point for killing a heavy, which was the Fire Prism right there. So we'll see what happens. And does the game end? I'll give the dice to the Dark Angel player. Epic dice. 3+ continues.
That goes on.
And it goes on.
So now it's Dark Angel's turn 6. Alright, and then the Dark Vengeance truffle shuffles, as Ross would say. Just stay in their zone and shoots. Doesn't get any wounds though. And then they drop some pie plates on top of the Rangers. Manage to a few, but they get cover saves, and they're okay. So he rolls his cover saves. And he loses 2 of them. So the rest of them are good. He does a leadership check, and they're okay. So they're going to still score the objective, and it's Eldar, turn 6. So once again, moves up the Wraith Knight towards score the objective. The other Falcon scores that objective. And so he shoots. He needs 6s to pen, and he doesn't get anything. And then he shoots the scatter lasers at the Dark Shroud, and then twin linked the other pie plates. Hits with pretty much all of them. And he rolls his cover saves, fails one, so it will be destroyed. And then he rolls to see what happens. That's AP2. So it is gone.
Oh, now after 6 turns, here's what the battlefield looks like. Basically, Dark Angels are down to one thing. Eldar down to like 6 models. 6 models, people. Can't get much closer. Does the game end? Dark Angel player. No!
So now it's Dark Angels, turn 7. Game continues. So he's 1 land speeder left. That's going to try to go for line breaker to maybe tie up this game or get as many secondaries objectives. Right now the game is pretty much going for the Eldar side, as you can see, seeing as they're able to score objectives and the Dark Angel player has nothing left to score objectives. So then he just moves up there and keeps his Land Raider slightly hidden to get cover saves. And now it's Eldar, turn 7. They just decide to keep going because this is for the League. The sniper rifles shoot the land speeder. Nothing happens. Then he fires the other guns, the land speeder from the Wraith Knight. And it dies. It fails to cover saves and is destroyed. And so it's a hearty handshake. There's nothing left for the Dark Angel player, and it is an Eldar victory. So thank you very much for watching this battle report. And if you want to see another awesome Warhammer 40k League battle report shown here, click on the link below for a free 7-day trial to the MiniWarGaming Vault. Not only will you get access to this battle report, but you also get to see many other awesome battle reports, as well as some great wargaming material. So until next time, this is Jay saying, happy wargaming, everyone.